we'll get you to indicate if you'd like to ask any questions. Just put it through on chat, and we'll get you to unmute yourself and turn on your video at that stage, and you can fire away with your question. Yeah, Warramie, everyone, welcome. Yeah, from wherever you are, I'm in Dulglands at the moment, and so where I host this, and I realise that via Zoom we're all in different locations, but wherever you are, would like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging in the land for the mob wherever you are. And so a very warm welcome from Outdoors New South Wales. Some of you might have seen me last week, but I haven't been on too many of the forums. Take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Mark Brackenreid, and I'm speaking to you today in my role as a board member for Outdoors New South Wales. So apologies to those of you who are regulars, but I'll just spend a moment or two to for any new people that are joining us that for the first time that might not be familiar with Outdoors New South Wales and ACT. First of all, just a little bit about who we are and what we represent. So we're recognised as the peak body for the outdoor sector in New South Wales, and soon the ACT. We're an incorporated body, and essentially the main sectors we represent are recreation, outdoor education, outdoor nature tourism, and adventure therapy. And as such, we link in with a whole lot of partners that we represent around the state. So we have links with local government and state government agencies and all sorts of bodies. So I guess we're the conduit that tries, the peak body that tries to draw all that together. And in terms of what we do, there's a whole lot of things, but one of the most important ones at the moment is advocating for the sector. So our CEO, Laurie, who can't be with us today, and our communications officer, Leslie, have been working really hard along with the board behind the scenes to advocate for the sector and do the best that we can to get things up and running, and provide information for our members. So, excuse me, I've just got a text coming in, so I hope. Yep. So yeah, thanks for that text there, Leslie. Yeah, as we do that, as well as the advocating for the sector, we try to provide a lot of information to our members, and this forum being one of those examples of that, along with our websuit. And sorry, I'm just being interrupted by some messages, but I think that's all fine. And then also we do a whole lot of networking events. So one of those we'll talk about soon will be the National Outdoor Education Conference that we've got coming up soon. If you're tuning into this, and in the background, just a reminder, if you don't mind, if you can just mute yourself, so that we don't have any feedback, and also for the purposes that we're recording all these connect and share forums, and so as we do that, that'll help us with our recording. If you want to check any of the forums that you've already missed, just head along to the Outdoors New South Wales website, and all the past records are on there. So just before we hook over to our two guest speakers, or just a few reminders about a few things. One of them is that following on with where we're up and an update with our New South Wales Education Department, they've announced that we've camps are due to start in term 4 and that they're going to review it in term 3. So we were working very, very hard to try and amend that. Some of you were probably on a forum where we had the New South Wales Education Department represented. Since then, Laurie is trying to organise a meeting with the Premier to expedite things, and we're still in line with that. So at the moment, it's still that as it stands. Day excursions are perfectly fine, and I know, for instance, the centre that I'm most associated with, they're kicking off in term 3 with a whole series of day excursions, some of which they're running for the same group back to back, and sort of delivering the best program that they can in the circumstances. A reminder, if you were interested in the media training, so the event that we had programmed for the 20th of July is full. So we're oversubscribed. So we've opened up a second training event on the 23rd of July. We still have some positions there. So if you're interested in that, you can see the Outdoors New South Wales website and link into that. In terms of school holidays, a reminder that if you've got activities that you're offering, send them through to us, and we'll do our best to promote those by adding those to the website and to advertise what you're offering. As of the 1st of July, Service New South Wales announced a separate round of grants for which you may well be eligible. So a reminder that to have a look and see at that. We've got to save the date for the 18th of August. Everybody's very welcome to attend our AGM which is going to be hosted down near Canberra. So, and we do have a workshop that afternoon. We'll supply some more details on that that close to the time. And next week we have two great guest speakers for you, both of them speaking to you on resilience, and we'll actually be hosting that from the Fairmont up in the Blue Mountains, which is going to be our venue for the 2021 National Outdoor Education Conference. So if you're if you haven't been to the Fairmont, that'll give you a bit of an idea of the venue, and we'll let you know a little bit more about the national conference that will be held end of September, beginning of October in 2021. So later on today, we've got Kyle Finlay. But first of all, I'd like to introduce you to Dot Foley as our first guest speaker, who's going to speak to you about a research project that she's kicking off and that Outdoors New South Wales ACT is supporting. So Dot is working at the moment at the University of Canberra, but will be familiar to a few of you. I know that in a previous life, she worked as an instructor for some of our members, including Somerset and Outward Bound. So I know some of you will already be familiar with Dot as she ran things on the ground. So I'd like to hand over to you, Dot, and launch away.
Awesome. Thank you, Mark. Thanks for having me along to my first Connect and Share. Really great to sort of see what's happening in the industry and also get a little bit of a I suppose a bit of appreciation, really enjoying the fact that there's all this sort of online, obviously it's not a great situation, but all this online collaboration has been really exciting, I think, as well. So just as this is my first session, and obviously as this is a connect and share, if I can just get people just type a couple of words, what is it about your involvement in the outdoor industry that excites you, that gets you really, really pumped? Just a couple of words in the group chat will be great. Positive change, definitely. Getting connected to the outdoors, getting smiles, opportunities and experience. Yeah, totally. Appreciation of the natural world. Yeah, like there's all, you know, it's stuff that as outdoors people, it's really common sort of thread to see happening, and that everyone has really really common experience in, I think, some of those regards. Oh, am I able to share my screen at all, Mark, or is that not going to be a possibility? Sorry, you're muted at the moment, Mark.
Yeah, you should be able to. I'm assuming Leslie has enabled you as a co-host, so you should be able to launch off.
It's coming up with disabled participant screen sharing. Sorry.
Give me a moment. Leslie, can you have a work on that at the same time as I do?
That's all right. If it's not going to happen, we can run without, but that'd be great.
Now, try that now.
Yeah, alrighty, got there. Thank you very much. That is lovely. Alrighty. Oops. Cool. All right. So, obviously, you know, we've got a lot of, I suppose, common aspects that that everyone here and everyone in the outdoor industry in Australia really appreciates in terms of that nature, in terms of getting people out there and smiling, and sharing those experiences. There's also obviously a lot that's going on that's preventing us from doing that right now. Australia having had the bushfires as a first hit, and now more nationally the COVID impacts. And this is some of the just a snapshot of some of the data that they've had from international studies in terms of effects on the outdoor industry. So from the UK, some really significant financial impacts, both in the immediate and then looking forward into the future, depending on what happens with relaxation of restrictions, as well as impacts on the professionals that are going out there and trying to run the programs, and the ones that are running the businesses. And they're really similar sort of stuff in the States as well, in terms of being uncertain on how long this is going to happen, and what that's going to mean for the industry. And obviously this is all going to be things that are concerning people in Australia, as well as we hopefully come out of restrictions, but now as things start to tighten down in Victoria as well, that'll be causing people a lot of concern. But I think also on the flip side of that is a lot of the information that's been coming out in the media just about appreciation of the natural environment and appreciation of getting out there and the benefits of being involved in nature, and also encouragement to go out and go and support industries and support businesses that are working in the outdoor industry space. And so I think both these aspects have got obviously some quite concerning parts, but also a lot of potential, hopefully, for what happens with the industry in the future. And that's what we're looking at getting a little bit of a feeling on through the survey that we're doing at the moment. So the survey at the moment is looking at the future of the outdoor industry in Australia. As Mark mentioned, my background is in outdoor education. I'm currently studying at the University of Canberra with James Neal as my supervisor. And we're looking at what is happening in the outdoor industry, what's the future going to be like, and how can we help the industry or how can the information we get hopefully help the industry to move forward, and what's that's going to look like in the future. So outdoor industry for us is pretty much what Mark was talking about for Outdoors New South Wales and ACT. So recreation, education, therapy, tourism, those are sort of the major aspects, but also anything else that's sort of involved with the outdoor industry. We're really keen to hear your experiences and what's happening for you as we move forward, move through the current situation. And the survey is looking at the impacts, recovery, and looking towards the future of the bushfires, COVID-19 and climate change. As we said, the impacts are going to be felt quite significantly by a lot of people in a lot of different spaces, whether that's financial, whether that's an employee who's had to pivot into a different industry, or changing how an organisation or business who's pivoting what they're doing to still try and keep people engaged. And then recovery, how you're using the current abilities and what we can do at the moment, and what's the potential for you in terms of what's going to help you recover, or what hasn't been so helpful maybe that's already come out in terms of supports from the government and other aspects. And then looking towards the future is both what's going to help with resilience to future shocks like this. Obviously, these are quite unusual circumstances, not just the severity of the bushfires, although they were obviously very severe and New South Wales did get hit really very hard. But having multiple shocks like this all in a row is something that hasn't really been explored in the literature, hasn't been explored in the outdoor industry, and just partly because it hasn't really happened before. So how do we make the outdoor industry more resilient? But then also, how do we make sure that we're moving into the future as society becomes more technologically inclined, as sort of education changes, as how people recreate in the outdoors changes, what's that going to look like for the outdoor industry, and how do we make sure we're still relevant in that space? In terms of what the survey is looking at, so we've got streams for organisations, for employees, and for interested other parties. So organisations, if you are relatively senior in the organisation, it'd be really great if you can fill out on that sort of viewpoint. Just because we have a number of questions in there that are sort of asking about percentage of employee hours lost, or percentage of turnover decrease, things like that. So we do need someone who's got an understanding of that. For employees, if you're obviously employed in the industry, we're looking for people who've been employed within the last 12 months, so since July 2019. To get that really recent, this is what the impact has been recently, this is what's going on right now in any of those recreation, education, therapy, tourism sectors. And then interested other parties is essentially if you don't fit into those categories. So maybe you're a previous instructor, but you haven't been working in the last 12 months. Maybe you're someone who goes hiking regularly, but you're not employed in the industry. Maybe you're an academic, something like that. And we're just hoping to get some information from people who are a little bit removed from the situation, but also still involved, and then have a slightly different perspective, hopefully, from them as well. So essentially, as I say, the questions we're looking at is what is happening for you and your outdoor organisation at the moment, and what do you see for the future of the Australian outdoor industry. The way that we're looking at answering those questions, as Mark mentioned, we're collaborating with Outdoors New South Wales and ACT and the other bodies that are at the bottom of the screen there, to get their input on the questions that we've used in the survey, to make sure that they're going to be useful for them to help those in the industry move forward and look into that future space. We've also used or adapted some questions from previous industry surveys within Australia and overseas to hopefully get something that's a little bit comparable and look at trends over time, because obviously this survey hasn't been happening since the start of COVID and since the start of the bushfires. So hopefully getting an idea of how representative the information we do get is of the sector as well in that. The questions have also been developed to prevent identification of an individual or of an organisation. So we haven't got any questions in there asking about your name or your organisation's name. As I mentioned before, the questions that are asking for numbers about turnover or employee hours decreases, they're all in percentages, because obviously it's quite a small industry in Australia, and we do appreciate that it'd be great if people can feel comfortable to respond to the survey and just let us know what's going on. Sorry, I know I've got a couple of questions up there. No, sorry, hit the wrong button. Alrighty, so Stuart, yes, this does cater for volunteer organisations. Really, really keen to hear from you guys as well. If you're a volunteer organisation, if you're someone who's senior in the organisation, it'd be great to hear from that organisation sort of perspective. If you've got someone who is working within the organisation as a volunteer, if they can fill it out on the employee perspective, that'd be really great to hear from them as well. Like I said, it'll be, just that really broad spectrum that's really going to help, I think, flesh out the information we can get, hopefully give a little bit more information to the sector peak bodies and the guys who are supporting in the in the industry. So in terms of what's going to happen with the data once we've collected it, so the survey goes from the 1st to the 31st of July, so we've got about another 3 weeks. First up, the data will be screened by myself just to make sure that no one's inadvertently included anything that is going to be identifying, because there are some open text response boxes in there. So yeah, firstly screen it and just remove anything in there that is perhaps inadvertently identifying an individual or organisation. Past that point, we're going to release that screen data to these peak bodies and supporting organisations, so they can get an initial sort of scope of this is what the information is. Is there anything we maybe immediately want to look at, or anything that's going to give us a really quick, this is going to be helpful for us. There'll also then be a couple of summary reports produced. So first up, one of the data as a whole, and though that report will be produced in collaboration with the peak bodies. So we're going to have a chat to them, see what they feel is going to be most useful to them at that point in time in terms of the data that is produced and checked. And then use that to help the industry move forward and figure out what needs to happen next. There's also going to be a report done by myself as part of my study, and a summary provided publicly that will be looking at the experiences of outdoor education employees. Obviously, they are sort of a lot of the lifeblood of the outdoor industry, and turnover is often quite quick in normal times. I'm sure everyone is aware. So if we can sort of support and understand what's going on for the employees in terms of their well-being, in terms of impacts on their life, in terms of what they see as the future for themselves in the outdoor industry, we're really hoping that will help again secure a little bit of what's going to be happening in the future of the outdoor industry in Australia. So essentially what we really appreciate is if you're involved in any of those scopes, and you're definitely volunteers as well, it'd be really great to hear from you. It'd be really great if you could jump on, fill out the survey, let us know what's happening for you as an organisation, as an employee, as an interested other party, and also share it around. At the moment, we've had some really great responses from employees, but less from organisations. And I think if we are going to get that really useful information for the supporting peak bodies, it'd be really great to have a little bit more about what's happening for organisations. So really encourage jumping on and sharing it with either the organisation you're employed for or employed by, the one you work for, or other ones you might know and have connections with. Share it with your mate next door who goes hiking occasionally, and get them on board and interested other party as well. And just be really great to have that broader sector involvement, and really get those solid answers so we can figure out, as I say, what is happening for the industry. Now, I've just got another question that's come up. Yes, I will definitely pop the link in the chat. Oops, let's just stop share. So that was about all for me. I will pop the link in the chat. Is there any other questions or thoughts or anything from the people from you guys as well? Would be great.
Yeah, thanks for that, Dot. I'll just give everybody a bit of a chance to fire in any last questions via chat that might come up. I think this is really important that we do this sort of thing, and I assume that you're also disseminating the link and survey information via all the peak bodies. So everybody here, no doubt, you'll be getting that in our next newsletter, and it'll also be available before too long on the New South Wales Outdoors New South Wales ACT website. So
yeah, I should have mentioned there's so in terms of access right now, obviously the link is right there in the chat right now for people. There is also, I know Outdoors New South Wales was on the Facebook page. I presume it still is somewhere in there. I know that Quorf and Outdoors Vic has also popped it on their, I believe it's their web pages and possibly their social medias. It's also available via numerous social medias, like the outdoor industry, freelance groups and all that sort of stuff. So it is all accessible there. But yeah, I think it's probably going into the weekly or monthly sorry, what's the word I not want? Newsletters.
Newsletters, probably.
Well.
Yeah. Now we've got a question there from Warren, and
yep.
so Warren, if you'd like to pop your video and unmute your audio, you can fire away with that question to Dot.
Oh, sorry, I haven't got you, Warren.
You just need to unmute yourself there, Warren.
Oh, now we got you.
Now?
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, I can't hear you though.
Thank you.
I think the question in the chat is probably the easiest way.
Yep, no worries. So time frame, survey opened on the 1st of this month, is going to the end of the month, so the 31st. So that's another 3 weeks before it closes. Results, we're hoping to get sort of preliminary data out to the peak bodies. I think the date we said was sort of end of August, and then more detail towards the end of the year is what we're looking at. Yeah, so part of it is sort of academic year, part of it is also just hopefully we'll have enough data that might take a little bit of time to properly analyse, but I'd say at least preliminary results sort of end of August. That will be distributed publicly we'll be giving obviously access to the peak bodies. Also, if you have filled out the survey, there is a space at the very end to pop in your details for if you want a copy of the summary results. If you don't want to do the survey, or you've done it and you quit out before you realise that was there, shoot me an email. I'll pop my email in chat, and it is also on all the adverts, and I can also send it to you just via email as well.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Dot. And once again, yeah, I think it's really, really important. I think the outdoors, we're really well positioned for some community needs at the moment, especially in terms of building resilience in people and mental health and well-being. So we just need peak bodies just need to be able to advocate for our industry so that we're in a position to actually run things. So. Yeah, thanks once again, Dot.
No worries, thank you. Thanks for having me.
And if anybody has any questions that pop into your mind, guess that Dot might be hanging around for a little while on this, so pop them in, and Dot or Outdoors New South Wales will follow up, and we'll get back to you with anything that you think of in 10 minutes after Dot's left us. Yeah, farewell to you, Dot, and thanks very much for that. And what I might do then is move on to our second guest speaker, and that's Kyle Finlay from Parks New South Wales. And we'll just move along. If you'd like to turn your video on, Kyle, and unmute yourself, and we'll hand over to you. So very warm welcome. Your video isn't on at the moment yet, Finlay. Kyle, rather.
Sorry, Mark. The video's not working too well today.
Oh, your audio is also pretty awful there, Kyle. No, yes. Okay, all of a sudden you came good there, Kyle.
Apologies for that. Thanks everyone for having me along, and thank you, Mark and Leslie. I have been to a couple of these connected share meetings over the past month or so. I haven't been able to make the last couple, but I endeavour to make as many as possible just to give an update essentially on what's happening in the world of New South Wales National Parks and any updates from the industry or any updates I can give to the industry on what we're doing with our parks.
Yeah, Kyle, can I just interrupt you for a moment? You're sort of fading in and out a little bit, and the audio really is quite awkward. I can just make out what you're saying. Are you able to do anything? Change your position, maybe? Oh, yeah, there you go.
I'll try a different position.
Yeah, that's great right now. Fire away.
Sorry about that, everyone. So yes, my name's Kyle Finlay. I work for New South Wales National Parks and Wildlife Service. I work with the team that partner with all our Parks Eco-Pass commercial tour operators. Essentially, I just wanted to give an update on where things are tracking for us in terms of COVID-19. I know it's been extremely difficult for the industry over the past more than 6 months now with COVID-19 and also bushfires. So just a quick update on what we've recently gone out to our operators with is that all operators can now operate in New South Wales National Parks with a group of 20 or less. That is in line with the New South Wales government public health orders. These restrictions have been eased from previous restrictions where there was a time when operators weren't permitted to operate at all. But then is to a group of 10 or less, and now we're asking operators to adhere to the public health orders with groups of 20 or less. Please all operators remind that the social distancing and the 4 square metres still needs to apply when you're undertaking tours, and also some New South Wales National Parks or locations within parks are still closed, either due to bushfires or floods, or even because of COVID and the social distancing restrictions doesn't allow anyone to operate in those locations. You can jump onto our website. There's an alert page that gives you all the information on what's open, what's closed, due to bushfires flooding and COVID. So jump on there and have a look, and then you'll be able to see what's open.
Kyle?
Yes.
Yeah, Mark here. Look, mate, I'm afraid we really can't follow and understand what's going on there. So I don't know if we've got any resolution to it. I think at the moment we might have to can it for today. And I don't know, off the top of your head, is there? Are you able to put in, pass on any information to Outdoors New South Wales that we can include in our next newsletter? Maybe might be the way for us to go. But certainly at the moment, I think probably just pretty frustrating for everybody and no doubt for you, because we all understand and appreciate that IT issues are usually beyond our control, particularly in terms of things. So maybe I've just had a suggestion from somebody that you might be able to try a different mic. I'll give you a minute to see if you can do that. And obviously, for everyone, Kyle has just put in a chat there with his email address if you have any particular questions. So let's, Kyle, have you got a different mic or something that you can that you're able to give a try?
I don't have a different mic, sorry, Mark.
Yeah, okay. So that's a negative on that. So yeah, thanks for your efforts there, Kyle. And what we'll try and do is to slot you in sometime in the next few weeks. I'm sure all of our members are really keen to get an update on where we are with national park use, because pretty important for us as a sector. So thanks for your time, Kyle, and apologies to everybody for the IT issues that Kyle is having. So what I might do is we'll just go back to sort of finish off. So I'll just yeah. At this stage, really, let's not waste everybody's time, given that, and carry on with when we sort of run out of activities. So I don't know if anybody has any particular questions for Outdoors New South Wales. If you have, then please pop them in chat at the moment. But beyond that, just a reminder that next week we have a couple of great guest speakers on resilience, and that will be coming to you live from the Fairmont up in the Blue Mountains, which is going to be the venue for the National Outdoor Education Conference in October of 2021. We did have a very exciting program with some great international speakers lined up, and as we take forward parts of that program, I think we'll also be introducing some really important new information on how we as a sector can rebuild and reset as we go through all these challenging times. So once again, thanks very much, everyone, for your participation. I'm just had one chat in. So yeah, and that's thanks for that question, Warren. The official notification for the OK to camps in term 4, I'm not across that myself. Leslie, if are you able to answer that one? You may be on top of that. So if you'd like to unmute yourself and if you're able to, fire away.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that one, but I will find out and I'll let you know, Warren, if that's okay. Hopefully find out today or latest Monday.
Yeah, we've been working pretty hard with the Department of Education, and I'm absolutely confident that Laurie has that information at her fingertips. So, but she's on 5 days of leave at the moment, a bit of well-earned rest. So we'll try and get that answer to you directly, Warren, and also we'll put some of that information in our next newsletter, so that everybody has some confirmation of that, and we'll put some links in. Any other questions? Type from anybody, please. Or just something popped up from Brad. Yeah, so Brad, my reading of that just off the top of my head is that schools will still be able to make a decision based on their particular circumstances, and so I don't know that it's necessarily that that schools haven't been informed that camps have been okayed. Some schools will still choose, I think, to pull out, which is really unfortunate for the sector. It's something that we'll be advocating hard to schools and the Department of Education about. I know that just talking to colleagues around the place, some schools are just making their decisions based on other reasons. For instance, I know of some schools that have just said that their parents are struggling. You know, they have quite a number of parents that have lost their jobs due to the COVID situation, and although they really in favour of the outcomes from outdoor education and in favour of the camps, they've surveyed their parents, and a lot of parents have said they just can't afford to do it. So even if the New South Wales government gives, or Department of Ed gives approval, unfortunately, we're still going to have some schools falling out. And thanks, Stuart. Great to see that information about Scouts now allowing camping to go ahead. I know that the organisations that I've spoken to have got some really great COVID safe plans in place. For we as an industry, we're all over risk management. It's what we do. It's our bread and butter. It's just a matter of convincing the rest of the community, and we'll have some wins and some losses there. Yeah, so thanks for your input, everybody. And once again, apologies for Kyle's IT issues, and we'll look forward to seeing you at our Connect and Share next week. And yep, another chat just come in. Yeah, yeah, there is quite a bit of this. Some schools choosing to put sort of academic outcomes to the front and make up for time that they've lost because they're suffering. Yeah, so there'll be a whole variety of reasons as to why some schools will choose not to go ahead, even if we get the okay from the Department of Education. So, you know, everyone, farewell, and look forward to seeing you next week. Leslie and I will hang around for a little while. So if you've got any further questions, if there's anything that we can help you with, we'll stay by and answer a few questions. But apart from that, farewell and see you next week. Cheers, everyone.